Hello, and welcome back again to another episode of Pinocchio. Last time we left off, he was going to be eaten by that green fish guy. Not fish guy, fisherman. He's not a fish himself. Let's see here. Do we still have that? Yeah, there we go. He's going to fry Pinocchio in a pan. A marionette fish is not something I catch every day. I'm interested in eating you. So, anyway, Pinocchio again facing death. Chapter 29. Pinocchio returns to the fairy's house, and she promises him that on the morrow, that means tomorrow, he will cease to be a marionette and become a boy. I guess he gets away from the fisherman. Pinocchio knew that all hope of being saved had gone. He closed his eyes and waited for the final moment. Suddenly, a large dog came running into the cave. "Get out!" cried the fisherman, and he drew back his foot to give the dog a kick. Then the dog, who, being really hungry, refused would no. Then the dog. Sometimes it's better just to start over. Then the dog, who, being really hungry, would take no refusal, turned in a rage toward the fisherman and bared his terrible fangs. And at that moment a pitiful little voice was heard saying, "Save me, Alidoro! If you don't, I fry!" The dog recognized Pinocchio's voice. Great was his surprise to find that the voice came from the little flour-covered bundle that the fisherman held in his hand. With one great leap, he grasped that bundle in his mouth and ran through the door like a flash. Alidoro stopped and dropped Pinocchio softly to the ground. "How much I do thank you!" Oops. We are having technical difficulties. Let's see here. Can I fix it? This is very curious. Wonder if I touch the screen or something like that. I don't know. Here we go. Can I fix it? I got a couple things I can try. Let's see. Ah, yes, I think I got it. I think I got it. But that's a bit different on the... There we go. Okay. Well, apparently having a little bit of trouble tonight, but that's okay. I fixed it. When things go wrong, stop, think about it, take a look, make a decision, and then move forward. Anyway, "How much I do thank you," said the marionette. "It's not necessary," answered the dog. "You saved me once, and what is given is always returned. We are in this world to help one another." Alidoro held out his paw to the marionette, who shook it heartily, feeling that now he and the dog were good friends. Then they bid each other goodbye. Pinocchio, left alone, walked towards a little hut nearby, where an old man sat on the door sunning himself, and asked, "Tell me, good man, have you heard anything of a poor boy with a wounded head whose name was Eugene?" "The boy was brought to this hut, and now—" "Now is he dead?" Pinocchio interrupted sorrowfully. "No, he is alive, and has already returned home." "Really? Really?" cried the marionette, jumping around with joy. "Then the wound was not serious?" "But it might have been, and even mortal," answered the old man, "for a heavy book was thrown at his head." "And who threw it?" "A schoolmate of his, a certain Pinocchio." "And who is this Pinocchio?" asked the marionette, feigning ignorance. "They say he is a mischief maker, a tramp, A street urchin. Calumnies. I don't know that word. I'll have to look it up in the dictionary later. All calumnies. Calum as in Mike, N as in November, IES. Do you know this Pinocchio? The man asked. By sight, answered the marionette. And what do you think of him? Asked the old man. Listen carefully now to how Pinocchio describes himself. I think he's a very good boy, fond of study, obedient, kind to his father and to his whole family. As he was telling all these lies about himself, Pinocchio touched his nose and found it twice as long as it should be. Scared out of his wits, he cried out, Don't listen to me! All the wonderful things I have said are not true. I know Pinocchio is indeed a very wicked fellow, lazy and disobedient, who instead of going to school runs away to have a good time. At this speech, his nose returned to its natural size. What have you done with your coat and your breeches? The old man asked. I met thieves and they robbed me. Tell me, my good man, have you not perhaps a little suit to give me that I may go home? My boy, I have only a bag in which I keep hops. If you want it, take it. I guess the fisherman, in battering him up for the frying pan, like Pinocchio has no clothes? I think that's what I understand. Pinocchio took the bag, which happened to be empty, and after cutting a big hole at the top and two at the sides, he slipped into it. Lightly clad, he started out towards the village. Along the way, he felt very uneasy. In fact, he was so unhappy that he went along taking two steps forward and one step back. And as he went, he said to himself, How shall I ever face my good little fairy? What will she say when she sees me? Will she forgive this last trick of mine? I'm sure she won't. And I deserve it, as usual. For I'm a rascal, fine on promises I never keep. Now let's go to the next full page picture here. See if we can squeeze it all in view. I got some little toolbars that aren't usually on there. I may have to reset my system, but I'll do that after the video. He came to the village late at night. It was so dark he could see nothing in it, and was raining pitchforks. Pinocchio went straight to the fairy's house, resolved to knock at the door. When he found himself there, he lost courage and ran back a few steps. A second time he came to the door, and again he ran back. A third time he repeated his performance. The fourth time, before he had time to lose his courage, he grasped the knocker and made a faint sound with it. So there's Pinocchio then, grabbing the knocker on the door. He waited and waited and waited. Finally, after a full half hour, a top floor window, because the house had 4 stories, opened and Pinocchio saw a large snail look out. A tiny light glowed on top of her head. Who knocks at this late hour? She called. And if we go to the top, oh, there it is, way at the top. There's a little light in the window at the very, very top. That looks like a little less than 4 stories, but oh well. Is the fairy home? Asked the marionette. The fairy is asleep and does not wish to be disturbed. Who are you? Pinocchio. Who is Pinocchio? The marionette, the one who lives in the fairy's house. I understand, said the snail. Wait, I'll come down to open the door for you. Hurry, I beg of you, for I'm dying of cold. My boy, I am a snail, and snails are never in a hurry. Have you ever seen a real live snail before? Don't see them too often in Florida, but when I lived in California, they were out every time it rained, and yes, they're very slow. An hour passed. 2 hours, and the door was still closed. Pinocchio, who was trembling with fear and shivering from the cold rain on his back, knocked a second time, this time louder than before. Let's switch the picture now. Here we go. At that second knock, a window on the third floor opened, and the snail looked out. "Dear little snail," cried Pinocchio, "I have been waiting 2 hours for you, and 2 hours on a dreadful night like this are as long as 2 years. Hurry, please." "My boy," answered the snail in a calm, peaceful voice, "my dear boy, I am a snail, and snails are never in a hurry." And the window closed. Have patience, have patience. Don't be in such a hurry. A few minutes later, midnight struck, then 1 o'clock, then 2 o'clock. Oh my goodness. And the door still remained closed. Then Pinocchio, losing all patience, grabbed the knocker with both hands, fully determined to awaken the whole house and the street with it. As soon as he touched the knocker, however, it became an eel and wiggled away into the darkness. "Really?" cried Pinocchio, blind with rage. "If the knocker is gone, I can still use my feet." He stepped back and gave the door a kick. He kicked so hard that his foot went straight through the door. No matter how he tugged, he could not pull it out. There he stayed, as if nailed to the door. Poor Pinocchio. The rest of the night he had to spend with one foot through the door and the other one in the air. That's what you get. As dawn was breaking, the door finally opened. That brave little snail had taken exactly 9 hours to go from the 4th floor to the street. How she must have raced! "What are you doing with your foot through the door?" she asked the marionette, laughing. "It was a misfortune. Won't you try, pretty little snail, to free me from this terrible torture?" "My boy, we need a carpenter here, and I have never been one. Ask the fairy to help me." "The fairy is asleep and does not want to be disturbed." "But what do you want me to do, nailed to the door like this?" "Enjoy yourself, counting the ants which are passing by." "Bring me something to eat at least, for I am faint with hunger." "Immediately." In fact, after 3 hours and a half, Pinocchio saw her return with the silver tray on her head. On the tray there was bread, roast chicken, and fruit. "Here is the breakfast the fairy sends to you," said the snail. At the sight of all these good things, the marionette felt much better. What was his disgust, however, when on tasting the food he found the bread to be made of chalk, the chicken of cardboard, and the fruit of colored alabaster. He wanted to cry. He wanted to give himself up to despair. He wanted to throw away the tray and all that was on it. Instead, either from pain or weakness, he fell to the floor in a dead faint. When he regained his senses, he found himself stretched down on a sofa, and the fairy was seated near him. "This time also I forgive you," said the fairy to him, "but be careful not to get into mischief again." Let's change the picture now. Pinocchio promised to study and to behave himself, and he kept his word for the remainder of the year. At the end of it, he passed first in all his examinations, and his report was so good that the fairy said to him happily, "Tomorrow your wish will come true." "And what is it?" See, he's forgotten what he wanted already. "Tomorrow you will cease to be a marionette and will become a real boy." Pinocchio was beside himself with joy. All his friends and schoolmates must be invited to celebrate the great event. The fairy promised to prepare 200 cups of coffee and milk, and 400 slices of toast buttered on both sides. The day promised to be a very happy one, but unluckily in a marionette's life, there's always a but which is apt to spoil everything. But I want to draw your attention here to the picture. She's showing him a picture of what he'll be as a real boy. Do you have a vision of yourself for what you'd like to be when you grow up? Do you have a vision for yourself as an adult? And I don't mean like what you want to do for your vocation when you grow up, like your job. I want to be a doctor, or I want to be a race car driver, or I want to be a pilot, or oh, yeah, I don't know. I want to build houses. Do you have a vision for the kind of person that you would like to be when you grow up? Because I propose to you that you should seek to be good. And I don't mean good at your job like a good pilot. I mean a pilot who's a good person. I mean a homemaker who's a good person. A mommy or a daddy who's a good person. So whatever you do for your job is secondary to being a good person. But she's showing Pinocchio here an image of himself. You should get a vision for yourself. What kind of person do you want to be? Choose it and then seek after it. Because right now, you being young are a small version of what you would be as an adult. All the virtues and all the vices that you have right now are small, but there'll be vices or virtues that you'll have as an adult. But let's see here now. What chapter was this? This was a long chapter. This was chapter 29. Let's take a peek. Chapter 36. We have 7 more chapters to go. Well, I guess Pinocchio's not going to become a real boy on the very next day. Something happens, but you'll have to tune in next time for that. Until then, be good.